Milliamp hours divided by 1000 times C rating equals total amps. That is the magic LiPo formula. It may not tell you what batteries fit into what blasters comfortably, but it will tell you if the LiPo you're looking at is good enough for your motor combination or electrical needs. I believe Captain Xavier went over this a little bit in one of his videos, but regardless, I think it deserves a video all by itself. If you've ever asked what LiPo is best for XYZ setup or blaster, this video might be for you. Because remember, best is subjective, but knowing what LiPo can and can't work with your build needs is safe. Let's break down this radical mathematical equation and get our brains liddy off on the sensational, informational, mathematical fire that is this formula. But if you already know how to read a LiPo, including what the S means, the C rating, all that stuff, you can skip to this timestamp right here to just get to the actual how this thing works. Or if you're feeling even lazier, SIL.com has an entire calculator that you can punch everything into, and it does all this magic stuff if you don't want to do the math yourself, and I'll have that linked down in the information below. But for those of you who want to learn a little bit, there are 4 main things to look at when you're looking for a LiPo for your build. Number 1 is the S rating, which is how many cells are in series. For Nerf, we usually deal with 2S and 3S, and you can find out which one is needed for what motor, usually on the seller's website in the motor description. Number 2 is milliamp hours, or mAh. This is basically how long your battery will last on a charge. 1000 milliamp hours is equal to 1 amp hour. If the battery has something like 2.2 on the front label, that usually means 2200 milliamp hours. I like to think of LiPos in milliamp hours over amp hours. Number 3 is C rating. This is the discharge rating of the battery, and it comes in continuous, burst, or a combination of both. Continuous C rating means that the battery can discharge that amount continuously, while burst is usually the discharge it can handle in a burst of time like 10 seconds, for when your model car or plane needs a burst of energy down a straightaway. And number 4 is dimension. Not really necessary for formulas or anything, but it is how big the battery is. And Hobby King has a LiPo finder on the side of their website that can help you figure out whether or not your battery's dimensions will fit into the battery tray you want it to go into, which is very helpful. Other than knowing what the milliamp hours and the C rating of the battery are, you also want to know what the total stall current for all the motors in your build is. This also includes motors that may not be going off at the same time as, say, your flywheels, like in a rapid strike where the flywheels usually go first before the pusher activates. This just makes sure you know that your LiPo can handle everything in case they all fire off at once, so you have a suitable and safe and bigger than necessary battery, which is a good thing. First thing to do is find out what the total amperage of your motors are. Say you're working on a rapid strike and want to use 2 Krakens and a Neo Rhino in the pusher. You can find the stall amperage for these motors on the websites where you bought them. ContainmentCrew.com, Out of Darts, and Foam Blast usually have them in the description, so they're easy to find. Each Kraken pulls 26 amps at stall, and the Neo Rhino pulls 24 amps. 26 times 2 is 52, and when we add the 24 to that, it is 76. So your rapid strike is going to pull 76 amps if all the motors fire off, but we're going to call this 76 amps for the entire build. Now that you know the stall amperage for your motors, let's take a look at that LiPo you want to use or are planning on buying. And let's pretend this one fits our battery tray perfectly. Since both motors run on 3S, we're covered there. It's also a 2200 milliamp hour 60C LiPo, and those are the 2 bits of information we need to plug into the formula. So now we have 2200 divided by 1000 times 60. 2200 divided by 1000 is 2.2, and 2.2 times 60 is 132. 132 is the LiPo's total amperage. This is much higher than the 76 amps we need, which not only means this battery is suitable, but with the high amount of headroom, we could add more motors to the build, or with its current setup, it should last quite a bit before you need a recharge. Remember how I said there's both continuous and burst ratings on some LiPos? If your continuous rating is just a little lower than where it needs to be with the total amperage from the formula, you can always swap in the burst rating. Since Nerf motors don't take a long time to go to their stall amperage and then come back down, the burst rating is more than fine in our applications. Another thing to think about is headroom. Some people suggest adding 15 or 20% on top of the total sum of all the motor stall amperages in your build. This does raise the level that your battery has to shoot for, but it gives it some breathing room. So in our example, we have 76 amps. If we times that by 1.2, which is adding 20% on, you get 91.2 or realistically 92 amps. Our battery is clearly more than 92 amps, so we're still good to go on this one, but the 20% headroom just kind of eases the stress off the battery if it's a bit closer to what the total sum of all your motor stall currents are. Now that the secrets of the magic LiPo formula have been revealed to you, I'd like to take this time to thank my Patreon supporters. We have Ryan Cho, Toy Bach, Jorge Verdine, Biggs NZ, Ollie No, Scott Tomlin, and Foam Blast. A big thank you to them for supporting this channel outside of just watching some YouTube ads. If you're interested in supporting this channel outside of watching some YouTube ads, you can click down in the description box to check out not only my Patreon, but also my patches at the Foam Blast store. Both of those are great ways to support this channel outside of just watching YouTube, as I've now explained like 3 times, and it really means a lot. But not only thanks to them, thanks to you for watching this video. If you have any questions about LiPo formulas and stuff like that, feel free to leave them down in the comments section. But thanks again for watching, and as always, have a great day wherever you are!